Good morning, everyone. Day 41. So today, carrying on with looking at the devotion, ritual and devotion, and particularly the sevenfold puja. So we've done. So that's a devotional text which is in 7 stages, 7 moods, and we've done 4 of them. So today we're moving on to looking at the 5th, rejoicing in merits. So in this session we're going to be looking at, in a way, the fruits of practice. You know, what can come when we practice, higher states of consciousness, happiness for ourselves and for others, and then, you know, we naturally, when things go well, we want to rejoice in that. So we rejoice in, you know, things going well for ourselves, but also, you know, when other people are skillful, you know, when their actions bring about happiness, we rejoice in that as well. So yeah, so this is the theme of for today, and I'll be looking at things like getting up early in the morning and doing something called miracle morning, where we just try and sort of be bright and do all sorts of things like exercising and reading and affirmations and things like that. So we're looking at affirmations as well. So all the things that kind of bring about a brightness in us, a brightness in our energy and a brightness in our mind and a positive outlook and vision. So yeah, so this is the theme of today. Yeah, I didn't sleep as well last night as I did the night before, so I'm a little bit more groggy today, but and slightly more resistant to doing exercise. But we'll start with some exercise, and yeah, maybe sort of a bit lighter or something. So just begin by just rolling your shoulders up and then back, and then down, and then forwards. So slow movements of shoulder rotation. So we're doing this to help us for when we sit down to meditate in a bit. It's going to be easier to meditate if we've done something with our body. So really lifting your shoulders right up towards your ears, rotating backwards, and then forwards and up, coming up to your ears. And as I often say, it's, you know, we just take our time with body work. You know, we often just want to rush through it. I do, definitely. So I'm resisting that temptation, even though I'm teaching it, I want to rush through it. So yeah, just really taking our time, and because it's the important thing is not what's happening with our mind, what our mind is impatient about. It's what's happening with our body. You know, have we done enough with our body so that it's in a decent state to support us? Okay. Shake everything out. Hands and feet. Morning campus. Okay. And then maybe just jumping up and down on the spot. And then just lifting your shoulders up to your ears and then just dropping. Lift your shoulders up to your ears and then just go, let go. Again. Alright, do it when you're not looking. and some shaking. So put your hands facing outwards like this, in front of your body, bending over, and then just so put your thoughts to one side. You're just doing something with your body here. Make a funny noise if you want. And then just swinging from side to side, just swing, let your arms just swing. And as you turn away from one side, just have a sense of your hips opening. And the movement starts in your foot and then moves up through your knee into your hip, and then the rotation carries on from there. So your shoulders are just very loose, and your arms are just very loose. And just enjoying the twist in the lower part of your spine as you do this movement. Opening the chest as you find your rhythm. So always with body work, you're just looking for, you know, some sort of effects. It's like some stretch or some loosening, some energy in your spine, some energy in your legs, whatever works for you, you know. You know, the Buddha said in the Kalama Sutta, something like, you know, don't go by tradition, or, you know, just because somebody's a teacher you respect or something. You know, does it actually work in your experience? You know, whatever you're doing, that's the important thing. Does it bring about well-being, happiness? And in this case, does it bring about well-being in your body that's going to be supportive to you trying to be a positive person through the day? So if we've got all the stodgy energy in our body, we're going to want to just lie down and not do much. So it's this, we're doing this for other people as well as ourselves. And then just rotating your hips. And just 1, 2, 3 on one side, 1, 2, 3 on the other side. Okay, and then just shaking everything out. Shake hands, shake your feet. And we'll take a seat for meditation. All right, so what we're going to do this morning is a meditation. It's from a series of meditations called the Brahma Viharas, and so Brahma means, in a way, Buddhism often commented on previous systems. So you had the Vedic religion where you had Brahman, which is kind of like God, but you don't have a God in Buddhism. So, but in a way, Brahma represents kind of like higher states of consciousness, or skillful. In Buddhism, it would be skillful mental states, because the gods are in touch with happiness, or they're associated with happiness. So the Brahma Viharas are the meditations, the divine abodes they're called, the meditations that bring about happiness for ourselves and others through wanting it. So the Metta Bhavana, is the first one. We want our own well-being, and we want the well-being of others. So we try and cultivate kindness towards ourselves. And then the other Brahma Viharas are similar to that. So it's like we cultivate. So here's loving kindness, but when loving kindness comes into contact with pain, this would be the right way around on YouTube. When loving kindness comes into contact with pain, what happens is compassion. The opposite of loving kindness is hatred. The opposite of compassion is cruelty. So when we see somebody suffering and we're happy, that's cruelty. When we see somebody suffering and it pains us, then that's compassion. But we also have, so these are done in a series. So you do loving kindness, then compassion, and then you do sympathetic joy, or mudita. So this is when we feel care for somebody, and then we see them doing well. We see them making progress and getting the things that they want. So we then feel happy for them. We feel happy, sympathetic joy. And the opposite of that is envy. We see them doing well, and we want to pull them down. So this is the area we're going to be looking at. Rejoicing in merits. Rejoicing in the good done by all beings, and just basically, approach how we approach happiness, really, or when it happens for ourselves and for others, because sometimes we can recoil from it. It's like too much or something. So yeah, so we're going to be doing the Mudita Bhavana, which it's basically the Metta Bhavana, but we're focusing on beings doing well, the beings in the different stages doing well. But often, yeah, with when we're trying to cultivate loving kindness or compassion or mudita, it's like we need to give ourselves enough space for that. You know, we can't. It's not easy to do it if we feel like we're rushing. So just settling into a sense of quiet and peacefulness within yourself. Tuning into any energy that you developed when you were doing the exercise. Particularly allowing your energy to kind of go to the ground, to be connected with the ground, with the earth, with whatever you're sitting on. So you're relying on the structure of your body to support its weight rather than on muscular tension to hold yourself up through any act of will. So your body and mind relationship is something called dharmata. It's like natural. You know, if your body is balanced and you're just letting your body just sit there, it will support your weight, and then your mind will be able to feel free to not have to worry about it, and then your mind and emotions can engage with the meditation. So we just keep coming back to our posture, to balancing our spine through the meditation. So we're going to do a 4-stage mudita bhavana, focusing first on ourselves, and then on a good friend, then on a neutral person, and then on the world in general. So in the first stage, we're cultivating a greater sense of care for ourselves. So we'll just begin by trying to remember what that's like. You know, what is it like to care for somebody? Maybe tuning into what it's like physically, you know, the posture that you adopt. Maybe there's a kind of gentleness there physically, as if you're kind of holding something and you don't want to damage it. So having a sense of holding ourselves in a gentle kind of way. Wishing ourselves well, may we be well. And as you do this, as you kind of imagine just kind of holding yourself in a gentle kind of way, just bring to mind a time when things went really well for you. And bringing the two things together, the sense of gentleness and care in your posture and the memory, just allow yourself to feel happy at that. Allow yourself to feel glad that things do go well sometimes for you. And if anything else is there, anything that's kind of like the opposite of that, you know, maybe there's might be a little bit of a sense of wanting to pull yourself down. Not acknowledge that, not allow it to something. Don't give that any notice. Maybe sometimes we're afraid of being happy because we're afraid of then losing it. You just keep coming back to the sense of kind of gentleness, particularly in your body, the way that you're holding yourself, wishing yourself well. And bringing to mind occurrence, time that you were well. And allowing yourself to feel happy about that. Make it quite simple. Allow the memory to be pleasurable. Being glad. So now in the second stage, just moving on from ourselves, so just allowing the sense of ourselves to fade into the background and then bringing into the foreground a friend, somebody who's a good friend that we're not romantically attached to or anything like that. It's just to keep it all simple, They're just a friend, roughly the same age maybe. Just having a sense of that the way that we're approaching them with our body is this same kind of gentleness, this same kind of holding, gentle holding. That represents kindness. So it's like we don't want to going to hold them gently. We're not going to crush them or like we would. You know, if we're holding a little bird too tightly, we just want to give our friend the space to be there, having a sense of being behind them emotionally, wanting them to be well, wanting them to do well. And then bringing to mind a time, or in our imagination, imagining them well. Maybe imagine them on holiday or something, or whatever their favourite thing might be. It might be bungee jumping, it might be doing art, whatever it is. You know, just imagine them enjoying themselves, really feeling fulfilled. So bringing those two things together, bringing together this gentleness, posture towards them, and bringing together the image of them being happy, just allowing ourselves to feel happy for them, to feel glad for them, to be pleased about their good fortune. And again, if there's any other emotion there, maybe might be a bit of, even though they're a friend, there might be a little bit of envy there or something. It's like, we don't want to see anyone happy because it's a bit hard to be with being happy. Want to pull them down or something. Don't give it any attention, don't give that mental state any attention. Just keep coming back to a sense of care, of nurturing, of holding them physically, in a gentle kind of way, imagining them happy and trying to feel glad for them. So if we do feel care for them, we will feel glad for them if they're doing well. If something else is there, we'll feel something different. Again, just not giving ourselves a hard time if something else is going on. Just relax. Come back to yourself, come back to your posture. Just let your body just sit there, balanced, having a sense of plenty of space in your experience. May they be well. And we're glad when they are well. We don't want to pull them down, we want to build them up. To support them in their happiness. So when they tell us when things have gone well, we congratulate them. And that builds them up even more, that affirms them. in the third stage we bring to mind, we allow the friend to fade, and then we bring to mind somebody we call a neutral person. So a neutral person is somebody we maybe see around, but we don't really have a strong feeling for them one way or the other. You know, they're just kind of a bit neutral in terms of the feeling that arises for us around them. And again, just try to have a sense of kind of our posture, our physical posture towards this person is one of gentle holding. We just kind of imagine that we're kind of not necessarily touching them, but we just kind of, we have a bodily shape called a mudra, which is one of, you know, which expresses our emotion as being one of kind of gentleness towards them and care towards them, manifesting in the body. May they be well. And then imagining them being well, you know, having a positive experience of life. So maybe with the neutral person, we can tend to think a little bit of them as two-dimensional, you know, they're a bit like a kind of just another object in the world. If we're thinking along those lines, it would be very unlikely that we will have any sense of wanting to look after them, because we'll think they're just an object. But if we can think of them a bit more in line with what they actually are, which is they are a human being who experiences pleasure and experiences pain, and doesn't want the pain, wants the pleasure, wants fulfillment and meaning, then it's much more likely that we will want to care for them as much as we care for ourselves and our friend. May they be well. So imagining them being happy at a certain point in their lives. Allowing ourselves to feel glad about that. Again, same thing, if there's something else going on, you know, maybe if there's a bit of subtle kind of envy when we think of them doing well, or we want to pull them down in some way or other, don't give that any attention. Having a sense of really wanting to support them when things go well. If they were to tell us about it, then, you know, we would naturally congratulate them. So in the fourth stage of the mudita bhavana, the cultivation of sympathetic joy. Just bringing to mind all three people that we've used in the meditation: ourselves, our friend, and the neutral person. I'm trying to have a sense in our body that we're kind of holding all three in the same sort of gentle way, wishing them well, that our emotions are expressed in our bodily posture, in our bodily shape, the way that we're holding our body, the sense of care, having care for ourselves, our friend, and the neutral person as well. I'm just trying to feel glad for all three when things go well, wanting to support all three, not wanting to pull down any of them. And then doing the same, having the same attitude towards other beings, so all the people who are meditating here in this group together, or in the future. Feeling glad at people's success, good fortune, moving away from any sense of envy or wanting to pull them down. Having a sense that there's enough happiness to go around. There is enough in the universe to support everybody. And then just gradually extending outwards into the world, other people in the same building that you're in, and people up the street, and in the shops, local shops. So having the same sense of kind of gentle holding in the body, bodily attitude towards them. May they be well. And imagining that when they are well, we feel glad. We want that for them. We're happy for them. We congratulate them for that when it happens. And just keep going out into the universe, bringing in more and more beings. Rejoicing in their good fortune when it comes. Having no sense of wanting to pull anybody down, but only build them up. May they all be well. And when they are well, we feel happy, we feel glad. So taking your time to bring your meditation to a close. So I think with that meditation, it's like maybe the challenge with it is to keep real, you know. So the danger is that we can get into a little bit. We're thinking about happiness, and we can start to get into a bit of an intoxicated state, thinking about happiness, and get all a bit blissed out, you know. So the Brahma Viharas have a run through this sequence where you've got loving kindness, and then you've got compassion, and then you've got sympathetic joy, which we just did the meditation of, and then you've got equanimity, and each one is a kind of antidote to the maybe what might be the kind of excesses of the previous one. So you know, I think with loving kindness, maybe you know, we can maybe get a little bit little bit kind of abstract about it in some way, and forget that people suffer. Maybe we get into a bit of yeah, it's all about maybe it becomes a bit about us sometimes. So then when we bring in compassion, it's like we're focusing on the pain in life, you know. So it's sobering. So it sobers us up. It sobers up our metta bhavana. But then what can happen is if we do the compassion meditation too much, then we can end up feeling a bit depressed or something about all the suffering in the world. So what we then do is we do the mudita bhavana, which is the sympathetic joy, the one we just did. So it's like, we bring in that there is happiness in the world, you know. So it's the antidote to going too far with compassion. But then, you know, when we do this meditation, it's like, yeah, we can get a little bit intoxicated. So then the fourth meditation is the upekkha bhavana, which is equanimity. So in that meditation, it's a bit more of an insight element to it, and we reflect that sometimes we're happy, sometimes we're in pain, and that's part of life, you know, that this is what happens, you know. Things go well sometimes, things don't go well, and so, you know, we need to be equanimous about things and just accept that this is part of life, you know. So it kind of, yeah, it grounds us if we get a bit intoxicated with doing the mudita bhavana. And then maybe if we do equanimity too much, we just end up feeling a bit flat or something. So then we do the metta bhavana as an antidote to that. All right. I think I need to pause a minute for just to recollect myself. Okay, so let's continue with the puja. So we're looking at the puja, the sevenfold puja, which is the devotional text in Triratna Buddhism. And yesterday we did the fourth section, which is called Confession of Faults. So basically the sequence runs something like this. So the first stage, whatever it's called, is called worship. First section is called worship, and so in the worship section we basically bring in the transcendental object, you know, the Buddha or the Bodhisattvas, the sense of where we're trying to go, or what we're having devotion towards. So nothing's going to happen unless we bring that in. So we bring in the Buddha, you know, by offering exotic offerings, to attract the transcendental towards us. So it's like, we kind of make offerings, of flowers and incense and perfumes and food and all sorts. And then in the second section, salutation, we come into relationship with the transcendental. So we acknowledge that we want to learn something from them, or that we want to be transformed by our contact with them. So in the bow, when we do a bow, it's like we're acknowledging mentally that they have something that we would like to develop, some quality like calmness or intelligence or understanding or wisdom or whatever it is, friendliness. So we bow as a acknowledgement that we want to be open to their influence. People do that at all sorts of levels, prostrations, make offerings to shrines and things. And then in the third section, going for refuge, what we do is this is where, having acknowledged that we want to learn, then we go for refuge to the Buddha, Dharma and Sangha at whatever level we're at, whether we're ordained or whether we're a new person. We do it to the degree that we do it, so we say, oh yeah, I'd like to follow your teachings, I'd like to be part of this community and that sort of thing. I'd like to try and become a bit more like you, like become enlightened. And then we recite the precepts. So the precepts are in a way the path that will get us to that, So in the puja we recite 5 precepts. So to be kind, to be generous, to be still, and not allow the world of the senses to kind of make us do things that are unskillful, that cause harm. To be truthful and to be aware, to practice mindfulness. So if we do all of this, then we start to move towards the Buddha, being like a Buddha. These are the actions that a Buddha naturally does. So, and then in the fourth section, what we do is we confess our faults. So we admit to ourselves, and sometimes we might admit this to other people as a way of, because when we express something externally, it often makes it stronger. So if we confess something that we personally feel embarrassed about, that we've let ourselves down, our own values down. So our values are established with going for refuge and the refuges and precepts. And then when we've let our values down, we haven't managed to meditate, or we haven't managed to be very generous or something, then or truthful, then it's good to admit it, and then we can then try and not do that in the future. We can make amends to harms that we've done to people, and we clear it away. We clear our mind of stuff that our conscience might be troubled by, and then we're free then to actually start experiencing some fruits of our practice. So in a way, rejoicing in merit is, so the verse goes like this: I rejoice with delight in the good done by all beings, through which they obtain rest with the end of suffering. May those who have suffered be happy. I rejoice in the release of beings from the sufferings of rounds of existence. I rejoice in the nature of the Bodhisattva and the Buddha, who are protectors. I rejoice in the arising of the will to enlightenment and the teaching, those oceans which bring happiness to all beings and are the abode of welfare of all beings. So it's like we're having gratitude towards, the Buddha and the Dharma and the Sangha, for being the oceans that bring happiness to all beings. It's an amazing image, that. But we're kind of we need to experience positive fruits of what we do, if we're going to actually continue doing something. So it's like we need to kind of get somewhere in our Buddhism, in our spiritual life. Yeah, and it. So here's the same verse in the Sutra of Golden Light Puja, which I read a bit of at the end of yesterday. I rejoice greatly at any good deed done by any being, whether in this world or any other. I congratulate them and rejoice with them. Through the merit gained by myself or them, by deeds of body, speech or mind, may they touch excellent enlightenment. And then it goes on to the Buddha's virtues. And I extol the Buddha's virtues with body, voice and faithful heart. Yet when I praise the Buddha's excellence, I can never exhaust the supreme merits of even one drop out of the ocean of his virtue and knowledge. The Buddha's body is brilliant with the colour of gold. He has the colour of gold, like the golden lord of mountains. His body is radiant with the marks of excellence. It is brilliant with the fine splendour of gold. He is very pure, serene like the king of mountains. He has the godlike voice, the sweet voice of a high angel. He has the lion's roar, the sound of a thundering cloud. The Buddha is an ocean of very pure, very flawless knowledge. The Buddha has supreme compassion for the welfare of all beings. He delivers all beings from woe, releases creatures from the oceans of woe, leads beings excellently on the path of peace, and gives every blessing to all. He is an excellent revealer of the supreme meaning, a leader of beings without number, to the blessing of complete nirvana. So I think it really helps to read things like that, because it's like what we're doing is reflecting on the qualities of the Buddha, and in a way where we can go with all of this. You know, what kind of power might be there in that experience, you know. So I wanted this morning to explore a couple of things that are about this whole idea of practicing and being brighter, being bright. So you know, the whole impetus behind practice is to become brighter and more positive and more effective. And in the series on the Buddha's teaching on mindfulness, I talked about the higher states of consciousness called dhyanas. You know, that these represent, you know, kind of becoming more and more capable, more and more, having the happier and happier states. Yeah, I want to look at something from, not from Buddhism, but from in a way self-development. You know, American self-development. So there's a book called, it's a series of books called Miracle Morning, and the particular one I got, which somebody just recommended, not that I particularly want to become a millionaire, but it says it's called Miracle Morning for Millionaires. But it's brilliant, because what it does is it outlines you know, some things that successful people have discovered, you know. And I think what we're as Buddhists or aspiring Buddhists or people in, you know, maybe curious about Buddhism, what we're looking for is success. We're looking for success in our meditation practice. We're looking for success in our ethical life, you know. We're trying to make something of ourselves, and so the theory behind the Miracle Morning is that so the author's Hal Elrod, and what he says is that it's like often, we sort of go to bed at the end of the day without much of a sense of what we want to do the next day, what we want to achieve. We just kind of get to the end of the day, we just go to sleep. But he says that successful people kind of go to sleep, go to bed at night with a very clear idea of what they want to do in the morning. What their goals are for the day, what their vision is. So that like when they get up in the morning, that they kind of leap out of bed and and start doing things, and then so the morning is like the best part of the day to get ourselves going. So I started practicing this miracle morning. Basically, he gives instructions about how to get out of bed. So basically, there's all sorts of practical things, like you have the alarm a bit away from you so that you can't just turn it off and go back to sleep. There's 5 things, I can't remember what they are, but there's 5 things that you do in like the first 5 seconds or something. It's just a way of just launching yourself out of bed. And then once you're out of bed, you do what he calls the lifesavers. And these are 6 things that that people have just discovered over the years are just really helpful in kind of getting ourselves going, putting ourselves in the right state of mind. So savers is savers is the first. So the first of the savers is silence. So this is things like meditation and prayer, that sort of thing. So to have some meditation or some silence, some sitting quietly in the morning, building that into your morning. And then A is affirmations. So sometimes we need to affirm ourselves. We need to kind of speak against the kind of maybe the conditioning negative voices that we might have in our minds, like, oh, I'm not good enough or whatever it is. So we actually kind of affirm things that that we might want to be the case. So it might be something like there is enough time. There is enough time in the day for everything. There is enough love in my life for me. There is enough money there in my world, to support me. So we might say that to ourselves: there is enough time, there is enough money, there is enough love, there is enough time, there is enough, So we're taking something that might be just an unconscious, oh, there's not enough time, it's not, and we're kind of working on it, just affirming the opposite. And then we've got V, which is visualization. So sometimes Buddhists do visualization meditations of Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. I do that. But it might be that you just need to kind of somehow bring to mind some sort of vision for yourself, imagining yourself in whatever state, what is your happy state, what is your vision for yourself, and where would you like to be in 5 years' time, and that sort of thing. So if you don't have a vision, then it's very unlikely that you're going to get anywhere with it. It's so my friend Prasadu, who's a really great psychologist, he says, well, first thing you need in anything is you need to know where you're going to, which is A, and then you need to know where you are, which is B, and then you need to know there's all sorts of routes from B to A. What's the best route, So it's all very logical, but you're not going to get anywhere unless you know where you're trying to head towards. So I have some sort of vision now. I'm 65 now. I went to America in the 1970s, and 3 times when I had a little bit of money, I had an accident and got compensated for it, and it meant I could go over there. And I know it'd be very different now, but there's something about it. I just feel a bit attracted to America. So that's kind of part of my vision, is to be some sort of potent Buddhist teacher in America or something. I don't know how that's going to come about or whatever, but it's really good to have that as a vision. Or I like to teach meditation off the main stage at Glastonbury, and to do it on American mainstream television. So it's like having that, some sort of vision like that, means that I'm probably doing this. This is part of that. This, doing all these sessions is part of this bigger vision. So you're benefiting from me having that vision of, if we have a big vision, then often smaller things come about. And it's like, it'll get refined as well. It'll be like, so do I want to really be teaching off the main stage at Glastonbury, which is a kind of hedonist festival? I suppose that's a question in my mind as well. So what I really want is to take people deeper, is to actually be controlling the situation for a lot of people, but actually taking them deeper. That's the real vision. So but I only refined that vision once I had the original vision, which is like Glastonbury. But I still would like to try something at Glastonbury. And then E is exercise. So again, what we've been doing in these sessions has been part of that. We've been doing exercise, we've been doing body work and getting our body into a decent state. And then R is reading. So it's like taking in inspiration. Reading novels, reading Buddhist texts. Doing whatever we need to do to sort of take in something new. Something that will stimulate us. And then the final one is scribing. So this is basically writing. What people often do in Miracle Morning is they kind of dictate. They will write for maybe like a couple of pages of something, of reflection on how things are going. What I do is I've used a voice recorder on my phone, so I just dictate into the voice recorder app. And it can be really helpful, that, because particularly when things are not going so well, then last year I did it quite a bit. I would sort of get up in the morning if I was feeling a bit awful. I would just talk into my voice recorder and say, "This has happened. This happened yesterday. This is how I feel at the moment." Blah blah blah. So it was out there. It was like acknowledging it. A bit like reporting in, I suppose. And then what I would do is, like, maybe a couple of hours later, I would play it back to myself, and it would be like, this is how I was 2 hours before. And what had often happened is I would have shifted from the first to the second, so things would have moved, and so that gives me evidence that things change. Everything passes. Everything will pass. Even if it's difficult, it'll pass. But also, maybe I said a few things in the earlier one, the earlier recording, where I was saying stuff around my vision and that, and then by hearing it again, I'm reminded of that. Oh yeah, I have this vision. Oh, I need to remember this. So something about writing can both improve our sense of being able to cope with difficulty or addressing difficulty, but also addressing vision, addressing positive things, and keeping those in mind as well. So these are the lifesavers from Miracle Morning. And I think, I think it varies what people do with those. I think sometimes, people might do like 5 minutes exercise, and maybe you don't manage to do it all the time. I mean, I suppose I'm not really doing it that consciously at the moment, because I suppose I'm doing this, but it's there in the back of my mind. It's gone in somehow, So I do have this sense of it's good to get to bed a bit earlier, get a good night's sleep, and have a sense of how I want to wake up in the morning, and then that I've got these tools to help me. So the reason I'm mentioning this is, like, in a way, the rejoicing in merit part of the puja is about successful practice. We only develop happiness for ourselves and others through making effort, through doing all of this, getting up early, working on our body, working on our mind, working on our affirmations, our attitude towards things, and then we start to become successful at that. And then, then there's something to rejoice in. So we rejoice in our own success, and we rejoice in the success of others. So I want to finish on the subject of affirmations. So I'm in a group which is helping me to work on a kind of tendency to maybe sort of like hide a bit and be a bit invisible in life, and the guy that originated the group, he came up with something called prayer formations. It's like a cross between a prayer and an affirmation, and what he identified something called museum states. So a museum state is something that, in a museum you have a curator, so the curator, a curator kind of like decides what's going to be in the museum and looks after it, so it's like these museum states are states that the negative mental states that we kind of curate, we keep them in good order, and they're not helpful, So for instance, there might be something like there's one he calls the perfectionist. We have to do it perfectly, or else. Or the people pleaser. We're compulsively pleasing people to stop them yelling at us. The misery maven. We're constantly seeking out being miserable. The gloom and doomer. The sky is falling. My other shoe's going to get a hole in it. And I think the one that I resonated most with was the worrier. We've got just raised worrying, and so the opposite of the way to work on the another one is the edgemeister, living on the edge all the time, or the less thaner, always feeling less than. So the way that you work on any of these is through prayer formation, and this is a fantastic invention. So basically, this is the prayer formation for worrying, for the worrier, right? So it goes like this. So it depend what religion you have. You would put your higher power, your religious figure at the beginning. So I say, Buddha, thank you for allowing me to be calm for the next 4 hours. Right? So thank you for allowing me to be calm for the next 4 hours. So it's like it's already happened. It's like I've been calm for the next 4 hours, and I'm now thanking the Buddha for that. Thanks for allowing me to be calm. So I'm training my mind to think in terms of this is going to happen. You know, thanks for allowing me to be calm for the next 4 hours. And then, well done, Mahabodhi. So put your name in. Well done, Mahabodhi. I'm proud of me. Well done, Mahabodhi. So it's like, yeah, congratulating ourselves when we're doing well. I'm proud of me. And then fourthly, but it's more the Buddha's success than mine. So it's like we're not kind of taking to ourselves what the credit for this. We're kind of giving it its due. So in the Bodhicharyavatara by Shantideva, the very first verses are this. It says, praise of the awakening mind. In adoration I make obeisance to the Sugata. So the Sugatas just mean the happy ones. So the Buddhas are the happy ones. And their sons and daughters. So this is the disciples of the Buddha. And to their bodies of Dharma, and to all those worthy of praise. In brief and in accordance with scripture, I shall describe the undertaking of the observance of the sons of the Sugata. So he's going to describe how you practice Buddhism how you practice altruism in Buddhism. And then he says here, this is the key thing, nothing new will be said here, nor have I any skill in composition. Therefore I do not imagine that I can benefit others. So this is like the radical humility of Shantideva saying, this isn't me, this isn't mine, you know, I'm just repeating what the Buddha said. I'm not even very good at saying it. And I'm just hoping that it will be of some benefit. And he says, I've done this to perfume my own mind. While doing this, the surge of my inspiration to cultivate what is skillful increases. Moreover, should another of the very same humours as me also look at this, then they too may benefit from it. So these are the opening 3 verses of the Bodhicharyavatara, and you know, so Shantideva's saying, it's more the Buddha's success than mine. You know, I'm going to recite these verses that have come to me, but they're not mine. I'm just, you know, and maybe they're not all that great, but this is just my humble offering. So I think it's really important to kind of so that we give away our merits, we give away whatever positive things that we've accrued through practice. We give them away. You know, we don't sort of let them build up our ego, but we pass it. Or we give them the due. You know, to the person where they've come from, sort of thing. So yeah, so there you go. Buddha, thank you for allowing me to be calm for the next 4 hours. Well done, Mahabodhi. I'm proud of me, and it's more the Buddha's success than mine. So you could substitute for calm there. You could have. So if you're a people pleaser, thank you for allowing me to know that my feelings are valid, and should be well expressed with your care and guidance. Or if you're a rageaholic, you just kind of get into the default position is getting angry with everybody. Buddha, thank you for letting me deal with my anger in a healthy way with your care and guidance, and knowing that fear is always driving it. Or Shane-based states, Mr. or Mrs. The guy's a comedian. Mr. or Mrs. Jill T. Guilty. Thank you for allowing me to know I'm not perfect. There's more good than bad, and I'm willing to make amends for all the wrong I've ever done. So it's like, you know, just getting rid of that guilt that isn't appropriate when we haven't actually done anything. Okay, so hopefully that's given you a sense of this particular part of the puja. You know, so I've talked about the high states of consciousness called dhyanas, and the Brahma Viharas is the set of meditations that are based around the Metta Bhavana, the loving kindness meditation. And today we practice the Mudita Bhavana. So this is when we feel glad that other people are doing well and ourselves are doing well. And the tendency is to want to pull ourselves down or pull other people down and belittle ourselves, or, you know, belittle achievements. But we can just work on that by not giving it any attention, and then keep coming back to trying to feel glad when things go well for people, and including for ourselves. And then I explored the reason why the rejoicing in merits part is in this part, is here in the puja. It's about our practice gets going once we've kind of let go of our unskillfulness of the past, and we've confessed things, and we've purified our mind of things that are on our conscience. So our conscience becomes lighter, and then we're able to meditate more, you know. And in a way, conscience isn't just about things that we feel wrongdoing. It's also the whole thing of like how prepared we are for meditating. Is our body in a decent state? You know, are we bringing to life ourselves in the morning with the lifesavers, with affirmations, with silence, with visualization, with reading, with writing, and with exercise, you know. So we're working on all the conditions that are going to support a successful life, and then we put that into, you know, that then funnels into our meditation practice, which is just a way of intensifying. Meditation is just a way of intensifying things that are there already, you know. So yeah, and then we become happier. You know, we see how other people become happier, and we rejoice in that, and our faith in the whole path grows, and we become more and more positive and robust and aware and skillful. And then on that basis, the next section of the puja comes in. So we're in a positive state, and we entreat the Buddhas to help us go further. So in a way, we entreat them, entreaty and supplication, we entreat them to give us a teaching, you know, to teach us more, to really help us become enlightened, to give us insight. So at that point in the puja, you'd have a wisdom reading, you know, something from the Buddhist tradition that illustrates the Buddha's wisdom. And then after that, you recite the Heart Sutra in unison, which in a way is like symbolically representing wisdom coming about in the puja for everybody. So the puja is like a drama, which takes us from being on our own in shrine room to bringing in the Buddha, and eventually to becoming like the Buddha at the end. You know, we're playing at being advanced, but bodhisattvas in the puja. It's not literal, so we end up being kind of actually enlightened in our imagination. So yeah, so there's this whole path through the whole thing. Yeah, so tomorrow we're going to look into entreaty and supplication and wisdom teachings and that sort of thing. So thanks everyone for turning up, and I did a little bit more trying to publicise the videos and these sessions, and in little kind of groups. So the Silly Isles community group now knows about these sessions, and the Salford community group, and all sorts of crazy community groups around the country. I've posted about this, so hoping to grow the reach of the sessions. So that's it for today. Thanks everyone, and hope you have a nice Sunday, and I'll see you tomorrow morning. Okay, thanks.